What is up, everybody? It's your boy Travis, TNT Tangent, here from PPG, and today I'm bringing you a very special deck profile. So recently, there was a very large My Hero Academia event. It was the biggest MHA event to date, and possibly the biggest event in the history of the game, both UFS and otherwise. And I made top 8 in it. And so today I'm going to be bringing you the deck profile for Overhaul that I used to make top 8 at the biggest event ever to get my Worlds invite. So I am going back to Worlds for the second time in a row. I am one of 3 who are also doing that. I believe Corey Aguilard and Jose Norono are also going back to Worlds for sure. So super excited for that. I can't wait to see everyone there. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So, as you can see, I played Overhaul. I think Overhaul going into this is the most generic, character you could probably be playing in the format. I don't think there's any reason not to play this guy. Realistically speaking, he just kind of does everything. He blocks super well, he builds extra for free, he gives bonus damage and also gains life, so your grind game is really good. I mean, we saw this, it won the event, right? I wasn't even the one playing it. Shoutouts to George for winning the event playing Life Overhaul. Had an absolutely fantastic run, played very well, very methodical player, huge shoutouts. But yeah, I don't think there was any reason not to play this guy, to be honest. He just does so much. But let's start off with the important stuff in the deck, which are the attacks. I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, it's a repeated deck. Of course it is. I mean, yeah, the card's broken. We play the good ones. We check the good ones. That's just how the game is right now, to be honest. You just play the good cards and you check the good cards and you win the game if you won the die roll. It's kind of weird. Obviously, it's a lot more nuanced than that. I'm being a little facetious here, but I think it could definitely stand to be better, and I hope we get a lot of format changes after all of the nationals have been completed, which I believe this was the last Nats, so hopefully we get some format changes before set 6 and they don't just decide, oh, nothing needs to be changed, we'll wait for set 6, and then nothing happens for a while after that as well. For Back Alley, this is a really, another self-explanatory card. It's the best opener in the game, bar none. 5 diff, 4 mid 5, stun 2, that says enhance draw card, or build 1 foundation with a printed difficulty of 0 from your discard pile. The amount of times where I went first and I built 4, and then I played a Back Alley on a 5, check a 5, already have a 0 in my discard pile, Overhaul first enhance to build face down, stun 2 them, and then build another 0 from my discard pile. I built 6 on turn 1, essentially, while also attacking my opponent. So, they have to respect this Back Alley, or they just take 7 as well. It's so good. This card's just crazy. Speaking of other crazy cards, Tongue Whip. This card is, a dual synergy with the Punch package and, Heroic Strike, because if your opponent is playing a lot of stun hate or playing around being stunned, then you get to punish them with tongue whips. But if your opponent's not playing around stun hate or being stunned, then you can punish them by playing heroic strikes, stuff like that. And then for Future Charge, this card is a really good poke. You literally do not care how your opponent interacts with this in any way possible. They can breaker to it, whatever. You'll just overhaul to play your next 1 diff or 2 diff or whatever, ignoring progressive and not care. And then if they do take it, the amount of times I would just play a Future Charge, just 3 mid 4, draw a card, build with Overhaul. I can play my next one from stage. And then my opponent just 8-6 because I was able to flip for Overhaul. it's crazy. This card just does so much for so little, and it's so stackable. Like if you draw multiple of these on your kill turn, you have gas for days. 2 heroic strike. I felt like 3 was a little unnecessary because, like I said, I would rather draw Tongue Whip over this card in most scenarios, but when my opponent doesn't have the great stun hate, this card does just say like tap 4, tap 5, like pretty consistently in the longer like strings and later game states, which is where this deck super thrives in. So we got 1 Cannon Blast. This was our way of killing the like super disrespectful aggro decks. Like if we played against like a Jiro or something and they like tapped out to try and kill us and said, hey, you better have it. 2 moves plus a Cannon Blast kills them from full. So it's pretty good, in my opinion. I think it's fine to play the one of. It could be another Muscle Mauler if you really wanted it to be. This list, I would also like to point out another shout out before I forget. This is very, very similar to Andrew Holder's list from Gen Con. Big shout outs to him. He helped me and gave me a little bit of advice on the deck and like what it should be doing, and then I kind of changed some things to my own like personal preferences. Yeah. So 1 Tracy Cape. This deck really thrives on having a lot of like powerful deadlock enhances. So like Muscle Mauler, for example, as well, having Deadlock Enhance, flip 2 Rival Foundations. Oh, and before I forget to talk about this card, I kind of like referenced it in passing. It's just a free value card, really. Like you touch them with a repeated at some point, or a back alley, or a Tongue Whip, or whatever. Just like any of these pokes, you destroy a face down to go +2, basically, which is pretty sick. I really like that. And then a lot of the time, because of the fact that your character has a 3 life swing just by responding on his face when you touch them with an attack, it's pretty easy to get above your opponent in life total to make this a 5 diff. It's also got Breaker 1, so like pretty good. So anyways, back to Tray Sheet Cape. Tray Sheet Cape does a lot in this deck. It has a 6 synergy with Repeated, where we can unflip an important foundation and then ready it with Repeated, like just like build it from our hand, commit it, we'll play Repeated on a 6, check a 5, commit the thing for 6. First enhance Tray Sheet Cape to unflip the thing and then ready it with Repeated. Like that's a 6 synergy, but also it has another synergy with most of the attacks in our deck. It has a deadlock form that says remove and add up to 2 ranged attacks from your card pool to your hand. You know what's a ranged attack for some reason? Repeated 100% smash. And Tongue Whip. And Cannon Blast. Like, man, if my opponent ever let me resolve a Tray Sheet Cape form, they were dead for sure. Nobody, every time, I think I resolved this twice the entire weekend. Every time, they lost on the spot. Like, there was just no way they could ever win after I resolved this form. On to the foundations. For cooperation offer, I expected a lot of Mirio, and also this card is actually good damage pump with Repeated. So like, if you need to get there against someone who disrespected you, this card does help. But also just speed hate plus zone hate. For keeping area safe, I expected a lot of back alley decks, a lot of stun decks in general. So why not play the good 0 diff that's stun hate? For new training method, every time I drew this card and I went first, I won the game. Like, legitimately, I think I went first in 5 of my matches. So I started X2 on day 1, so 5 and 2, because we had to split the first 7 rounds and the last 2 rounds. And in the 5 games that I did win, or 5 matches that I won, there was at least 1 game where I drew either single or double new training method in like a 3-4 foundation hand and just won the game, because the amount of value this card generates in this character is obscene. Like, this card, it just does so much. I love this card. Other best card in the deck, Passing the Torch. I don't think I really need to explain this one too much, but like, for those that don't know, you don't have to be dealing damage to respond with Overhaul. You can just flip for cost for no effect. So a lot of my late game scenarios when I was like either light on attacks or like trying to sculpt would be me going, play this future charge, overhaul, build something from my hand face down, passing the torch, draw a card, future charge, draw a card, overhaul I can play from stage, they block my future charge, I respond, flip the passing the torch anyways, replay my committed passing the torch, build 4 or whatever. And then like they just couldn't kill me because I'm sitting on like 1 to 2 passing the torches with like releases and rescues and stuff, and it's just like good luck. 2 self sacks. This is honestly mainly for the low block and like the extra damage pump. It's just, I think it's really important in this format to be able to backswing someone very easily that disrespects you with like the greatest of ease. Like if you can't easily backswing someone in this format after they disrespect you on turn 2 and deal like 12 damage, it's just doomed. Like you just might as well go next. For release, one of the best defensive tools in the game, and it's on a 0 diff. Like, I don't know, this card's crazy. I can't wait to see this card rotated out, to be honest. On the next card, Heroic Assistance. So this card was also very good against anyone that was playing stun, or like anything adjacent. There were a few times where like, so in the Overhaul mirror, a lot of the time, if they want to build on their back alley, they have to skip on stun 2ing first. So that means that you can use your passing the torch to draw a card, or whatever. So like if you have a keeping area safe plus heroic assistance, you draw with your passing the torch, they stun 2 you, you respond area, then you respond heroic assistance to ready 2 other foundations. So you essentially drew a card for free, and you still have the same amount of foundations. And then it also has a crazy deadlock enhance that literally just gives you perfect information. Like, when you deadlock enhance this on your opponent's turn, especially if they don't have draw, you just know. Like, you know everything that's in their hand. You can plan everything out to a T and then probably kill them on a backswing because you know exactly what blocks they have. 2 rescue. I think any more than 2 is really unnecessary. This card was, like, good when I found it early, but it kind of felt bad to try and find late game. Like, I didn't ever want to build this on, like, a 4, but I also didn't really want to overhaul it because I was, like, better off overhauling, like, passing the torch, like, cooperation offer, like, these other things. So, I don't know. It's a fine card. It does work. The 1 Evaden copy. This card was hella smurf this weekend. The amount of Mirios I played against and I hit them with the 1 Evaden copy on an attack that actually mattered was like, I'm pretty sure it was at least 2. It was just, this card was so good. There was also a time against a Jiro where they went for a home run comet line, and I wall clanged and then Evaden copy blocked. I was just like, auto 5? It's like, oh, cool. Auto block your kill string. For note taking, the deck needed more low blocks, and this was just like pretty generically the best low block that you could be playing, because it also just gives speed to your punches. So like giving 2 speed to back alley or future charge or repeated, like, it's nothing to scoff at for sure. And then like worst comes to worst, this play did actually come up quite a bit this weekend. You can actually flip your own note taking for cost for no effect, and then use it and then block from sorry, and then block from stage with it with Overhaul in case you just like don't have a low block. This was the worst card in my deck by far. Lost in Thought. I used this card a total of 2 times this entire weekend, and it got sided out for face shield in like 80% of my games. This card is bad. Like, I know a lot of people are like high on this card because it's like cool, it lets you build extra attacks from your hand face down as Overhaul so you can pick them back up later, and like sometimes it snipes answers, but like a majority of my games, I was just killing people while they were tapped out because they tried to kill me and then couldn't, and I backswing them. So they don't really have any answers I'm like care about, and if they do, it's not something that this is going to stop, right? Like, this doesn't stop my opponent from barrier shielding me. This doesn't stop my opponent from breaker 2ing me from hand. Like, I don't know. I think this card's like really bad. If I were to play this deck again, I would definitely cut the Lost in Thoughts and like figure something else out to play. Like, I would probably play more first villains, honestly, because the synergy between this and repeated is just crazy. But anyways, never ran on that card. One lessons from Tayaki. This card's fine. It came up like 2 times this weekend. Not the commit cancel your rival's next non-character ability that's enhanced up. That never came up even once. The deadlock enhance was very good because it forced my opponents to like skirt deadlock lest I pick up a repeated or a back alley or a tongue whip or a heroic strike for free. Like, they just aren't allowed to do that. And then, like, I'm sure there are some game states where you could theoretically force your opponent into, like, oh, you have to use this enhance in order to kill me and you don't have any other spammable abilities or whatever. Like, you just don't get to do it. 2 high value target. This card was so good this weekend. I would put more copies of this card in the deck if I was going to like go back and play it again, because this being like destruction hate came up a lot because a lot of people were playing plummeting punch, so they would like, oh yeah, I'll attempt to destroy your passing the torch, and then I'll be like, okay, I'll destroy this high value target instead. So now you have to commit the passing the torch with plummeting punch, which if I have heroic assistance, I can just ready it back up. Or you have to flip the passing the torch and commit something else, which is fine with me because even if you flip the passing the torch, I can just replay it again next turn. Like, as long as it's not in my discard pile, I don't care. I will get it back eventually. 3, I'll protect you. It's just more redundant speed hate. Like, this deck just wants to block and assemble the hand to, like, just end your opponent from orbit. So, and this card helps you do that. 1 first villain encounter. This is just a card with randomly relevant enhanced card text, but it's got a broken deadlock enhance. This deadlock enhance came up so many times, not only in the fact of, like, my opponents were not allowed to go to deadlock if I had this card on board unless they had a way to, like, destroy at response speed, which, like, people were not playing, like, Loving Father or anything like that. But, yeah, this card was crazy. And then also just the synergy with repeated being a ranged attack is just so good. 1, taking the gloves off. This card was for, like, the Mirio matchup. So, like, if they're anyone crutching on Nice Try, like, if you're playing against a deck that crutches on having Nice Try so they can be super aggressive and just, like, ready their stage, you're like, stop that. You just flip the Nice Try. And then it's also got a good deadlock enhance. So, like, if you're playing the Overhaul Mirror and your opponent goes to deadlock, you can, like, start sniping their deadlock pieces, which is pretty sick. The 1 tight-lipped. This card actually came up quite a bit this weekend, not only for being a 1 mid block, but also for the random damage pump. There are a bunch of late game scenarios where you do need to flip 2 foundations to give 3 damage on your moves. And yeah, so that's what it was there for. Also just another 0 diff to, like, diversify our 0 diff suite. 1 wall cling. I don't think you need to play more than 1 in this deck. When you find it, it's pretty good. When you don't, I don't think I ever really missed it except in my top 8 match against Phil Birch. Shoutouts to him. Where I just got, like, kind of throne chipped to death until I was, like, at a point where I was just dead on board. But other than that, I don't think I would play more. Another abandoned copy on the side. It's good against Mirio, so you board that in there. It's good against, like, the decks that are trying to put a million speed on things. It's fine against Euro. I would probably board it in against her, too. 2 face shield. This card's crazy, actually. I would play 3 in my sideboard if I could go back and do it again. I might actually even play 1 main board if I could. This card did so much this weekend. It was always taking Lost in Thought's place in game 2 almost. Like almost every matchup. Against Mirio, it's an Omni block that also flips and denies their combos. Like, it just does so much. Against Jiro, it flips their Jolt, stops their combos, all that stuff. Another Lessons from Taiyaki for the Deadlock matchups. Heroic Strikes for where Tongue Whips aren't really good. So, like, if we play against the Earth Overhaul deck, or, like, any Earth deck, really, where they have, like, Forcing Surrenders and stuff, I cut a Tongue Whip for Heroic Strike. Instant Shining Flash. I usually would cut, like, 3 Tongue Whips to bring this in matchups where the momentum super mattered. And it's also just a better low block, so it kind of slots out seamlessly. 2 Practical Studies. This was probably the worst card in my sideboard. I do think this card is good. It's just, I didn't have, like, a lot of matchup opportunities to bring it in, because this card's, like, very much for, like, Eraserhead and all that stuff, like the control decks of the format. This is not for, like, the tempo and the mid-range and the aggro decks of the format, which there just happened to be a lot more of them at this event than I was expecting. I was expecting a lot of Eraserhead. A lot more than we actually had, which there was a lot of Eraserhead still, I just kind of dodged them. But anyways, I'm so glad that I was able to take this opportunity and just kind of run with it. You guys will see the interview that I did with Levi Alliteration Gaming later on, sometime in the future. We got to record that at at the convention. It was very cool. Anyways, thanks everyone for watching. This has been Travis from PPG. Make sure you guys go check out our website at www.proplaygames.com for a wide selection of singles and sealed product from multiple different games. Anyways, thanks for watching. This has been Travis, signing out.